Wait, what did Biden just say? I have all the details and what this means for us right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, now in this video, we're going to be discussing a new report that was just released based on some remarks out of President Biden and what he is suggesting the administration start preparing for. Now, this is a major shift in tune out of the administration and, of course, the president, which is exactly why I want to bring this to your attention. Now, this is also something very, very important we need to watch closely because this is going to impact virtually everybody right here in the United States. This is a major issue, so let's get into it. I want to talk about what this report is coming up with and what the president apparently is telling the administration to prepare for, which is coming relatively soon. First off, let me ask you this much. Do you remember 2008 and 2009? Of course you do. The economy was collapsing. We were going into a very deep, dark recession. The housing market was falling off a cliff. Many people were losing their homes to foreclosures. The unemployment rate was climbing. A lot of people were losing their jobs. It was not a pretty situation. It was 2008 and into early 2009 when all of this was taking place. Many people referred to it as the Great Financial Crisis. Do you remember that one? The major recession that we went through during that time prior to the COVID recession in early 2020. Well, that is what we're looking at right now. And apparently, according to this report, the president has told the administration, get prepared for another 2008 type economic crisis. That is a major, major turn in events here, and especially out of the administration and, of course, the president, because we've been hearing out of the president recently that the economy is so incredibly strong. If it's so strong, then why do we need to prepare for a 2008 type economic crisis? And again, just saying based on these reports. Now, apparently the president is also asking for the administration to start giving some statistics and some other numbers as far as the likelihood of another 2008 type economic crash. Now, this is also something we've been hearing out of major people out there right now. A lot of very influential people, a lot of people on Wall Street, big bankers, CEOs. We've been hearing this out of a lot of people recently that are saying, watch out. This thing is coming down. This economy is going to go into a very deep, dark recession. And now we're hearing this out of the administration as well. Now, this probably wasn't supposed to be leaked to the public. I'm guessing that's probably the case. But this is what we actually came across with a new report that was released. And I want to bring it to your attention because generally we have not been hearing this out of the administration. However, now again, they're probably going to walk this back and say, oh no, we just got to be prepared. Well, here's the thing. Yes, I agree. We got to be prepared. But at the same time, if we've never really talked about this before and we've never really been prepared to this point before, then why do we need to be so prepared about it right now? Well, again, this is what everybody's looking at right now. And again, based on what the Federal Reserve is doing by aggressively raising interest rates, which by the way, the next interest rate decision will be in about 2 weeks from right now when they're going to be coming out and telling us what they're going to be doing with the next interest rate policy hike. So it's anticipated as of right now, it's probably going to be another 75 basis points, possibly even 100 basis points. And that's not going to be pretty when it comes to the markets and everything else out there. Everybody that's watching all this stuff very closely, it is not good for the economy and with all these rapidly rising interest rate hikes. So that's also something we got to watch very closely right now. But with everything going on right now, I want to point out something else, that in the event that we do fall into another 2008 type economic crisis, I want to point something out. Now, this report was actually pretty interesting that I was reading upon this, and I want to bring this to your attention as well. The report went on to show that in the event that we fall into another 2008 type economic crisis, the likelihood of the Federal Reserve pivoting and starting to buy bonds. In other words, when you hear something say like a bond buying program or QE or quantitative easing or Operation Twist or any of these fancy names like this, all it literally means is the Federal Reserve is printing money. It's just a fancy way of saying that they're going to print money and they're going to buy bonds with it. When they buy bonds, simply all that means is they're pushing money out into the economy in exchange for bonds, right? So then they hold on to these bonds, and then when they sell them, they take money back out of the economy, right? So this is basically what the Federal Reserve does. But as a result of this report was going on to show that in the event of another economic crisis like what we saw in 2008, the likelihood of the Federal Reserve buying bonds is basically 100%. The Federal Reserve will print a ton of money yet again and plow it into the system, into the economy, just like they've done every single time with all of the previous recessions that we've seen since the dot-com bubble in 2001, since then, the Great Financial Crisis in 2008, 2009, the COVID crisis in early 2020, and again, the next one, which will be coming relatively soon. So whether we want to sit here and say, oh no, we're good to go, we're all in the clear and nothing is coming, the fact of the matter is, this is the natural ebb and flow of the economy and of course of all the markets. We go up, very high growth periods of time, and then of course the economy needs to come down because it overheats. This is not just me speculating. This is how the economy works. This is what happens every single time, and it usually happens in about a 7 or 8 year cycle. Sometimes it's even shorter than that, 3, 4, 5 years, something like that, but the cycles recently have been a little bit longer. And again, we're likely falling into another recessionary time right now, another contractionary period, which is what the administration is preparing for. So when I came across this report and saw these remarks out of the president advising the administration to start preparing for another 2008 type crisis, that's a major development because the 2008 crisis was a major one. Do you remember that? Obviously, we weren't talking about it here on the channel at the time because honestly, this channel wasn't even around then. But the fact of the matter is that was a major, major issue back then. It wasn't even that many years ago. Well, it was about 14 years ago when all of that went down. And then the economy and the markets and everything like that finally bottomed in early 2009, and everything was back off to the races again for quite a while, right? For about 11 years or so until the COVID situation came in, and then of course we went into another brief recession. But I want to point something else out as well. I know there's a lot of you here in the community that are looking for additional money, as in checks, stimulus, ongoing payments, monthly checks, raises to benefits, anything else along these lines. I can tell you this much. In the event that the economy falls into another deep recession, like what we saw in 2008, the likelihood of another check coming out at that point, of course, I can't say 100% guarantee, but I can tell you this much. The likelihood will be very, 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 very high, okay? We've seen this with all of the other recessions that we've seen over the last 22 or so years since the dot-com bubble. Like I said, in 2000, 2001, we saw checks then. We saw checks in 2008. We saw checks going out then. Early 2020, obviously, we got checks then. Why would this next one be any different? It's not going to be. This next one is going to be the exact same song and dance, just like we've seen for so many years now. We've been seeing this happen time after time. The same situation play out. The Federal Reserve comes in, prints money. Congress approves hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars. And again, it gets sent out in a variety of ways because the unemployment rate is going up. People are losing their jobs. The economy is crashing and burning, and they got to bring it back really rapidly. The only way that they can do that fast is by printing a bunch of money out of the Federal Reserve, sending out to the people and asking us to spend the money. And ultimately, that stimulates the economy. So when we hear these remarks out of the administration, it is certainly something that kind of perks up our ears and we got to pay attention to, because when we hear these types of remarks, we got to think, okay, if they're talking about this and they're actually being prepared for another 2008 type financial crisis, we probably want to pay attention to that. We probably want to be on the leading edge of that and make sure that we are prepared for that type of situation to play out. And we're already starting to see some of this actually come into fruition. In fact, as of right now, the rates, like the interest rates on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, are just below 7%. That's absolutely nuts. The last time that we saw a 6.94 handle on the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, which is the current rate as of right now, was way back in 2002. Does that give you any little glimpse into what we're kind of dealing with right now? We're starting to see all kinds of cracks in the economy starting to appear right now. We're starting to see different industries. We're starting to see different large corporations, medium corporations, small businesses, things like this, laying off a lot of people. We're starting to see a lot of cracks starting to emerge right now. And like I've been saying, some of the big banks, a lot of people on Wall Street, people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, and all of these kind of heavy hitters, highly influential people are coming out saying, we're going into a very kind of ugly situation. In fact, just a few days ago, Jeff Bezos, the former CEO of Amazon, came out and said, batten down the hatches, it's coming. And he's basically warning that a big, big old recession is on the way here, which is like a lot of people have been suggesting as well. So like I've been talking about for a very long time, these things take time. Just because somebody comes out like a Jeff Bezos or an Elon Musk or somebody like this and says, oh, we're going to go into a recession, does not necessarily mean it's going to happen tomorrow. These things are very slow moving, but when they come, it happens fast, and it's an ugly situation that plays out. It's kind of like a hurricane, right? It's probably not the best analogy considering what just happened in Florida not that long ago. So again, I apologize, my condolences, but seriously, it's kind of like the same situation. It's kind of an ugly situation. You see it coming for weeks, potentially days, maybe a couple weeks out in the ocean. It's kind of making its way, and all of a sudden it just rams its way through the country, and then it's out of there. It's ugly when it comes in, right? kind of the same thing, just like what we saw. And again, what's happening in Florida, or what did happen, is a super sad situation. And honestly, seriously, my condolences go out to everybody down there. It's not a very good situation as all. But I just kind of wanted to use that analogy because that's kind of what the economy is like as well when it comes down to these types of situations. It's not good, right? We kind of see it coming. We know it's going to be bad. And then it appears and it's like, ooh, this is a really bad one. You know what I mean? So not a good situation. But anyway, I want to point this out as well because some of these big banks and institutions out there right now are saying the likelihood of a deep recession coming is now 100%. 100% recession likelihood, deep recession, by the way, in early 2023, which, by the way, depends on what you're actually looking at. According to some of the GDP data that we've been looking at for quite a few months now, has actually suggested that we've already been in a recession for several months already. So, again, depends on what kind of factors you're looking at, what kind of economic data you might be looking at. According to some of them, like the GDP, we've already been in a recession for a few months already. So, but again, some of these large institutions, big people out there right now are suggesting 100% likelihood of a recession in early 2023. Anyway, I want to bring this report to you because I thought this was a little bit interesting. And we start to hear the president and the administration, who has previously been talking about such a strong economy, strong United States, all these things like this. And now they're talking about a 2008 crisis type situation coming around. You probably want to pay attention to this because why would they be preparing for something if they feel like the economy is so incredibly strong? Just saying, like we bring up all the time, right? So anyway, just want to bring this to your attention. And again, as always, I will continue watching all this very closely as I do get any other details on anything going on right now with the economy, economic data, announcements out of Congress, announcements out of the administration, anything in regards to money, benefits, checks, raises to benefits, or anything else like that. Of course, I'll bring it to your attention right away. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands and thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Have a good day, and again, make sure to stay tuned as you never know when I'm going to be bringing up another one of these big, amazing Amazon project giveaways, which we've been doing a lot of these recently as well. A lot of amazing items going out. And then again, the cash drops, which again, I've been doing a lot of these cash drops recently as well. So make sure to stay tuned for those as well. So again, until next time, have a good one. Enjoy.